My name is Daniel Harper. I'm 73 years old. Some of you may remember a video I shared not long ago. The response meant more to me than I can express, and I'm grateful. But today, I need to speak about something I left out back then. Something deeply personal. Something that completely reshaped the way I understand love and marriage. And I need you to listen carefully, because what I'm about to share might spare you a regret that lingers for the rest of your life. My wife, Margaret, and I were married for 41 years. Longer than many of you have been alive. For most of those years, I genuinely believed we had a solid marriage. Not extraordinary, not passionate, but steady, respectable, the kind of marriage that lasts. But here's the truth about long marriages that nobody prepares you for. You can spend decades beside someone and still never truly know their heart. You can share a house, a last name, a routine, and still miss who they really are. Margaret passed away 6 years ago. Ovarian cancer. Diagnosed in February. Gone by June. For months between normal life and goodbye. And during those final weeks, lying in a quiet hospice room, she said something that echoes in my mind every single day. She said, "Daniel, we spent too many years trying to win arguments instead of choosing each other." At first, I resisted it. I felt defensive. We had a good marriage, didn't we? We didn't scream. We didn't break things. We weren't miserable. We were comfortable. And that was the problem. Comfortable is not the same thing as connected. Let me explain. Over the years, Margaret would suggest little things. Let's try a cooking class together. Why don't we go dancing like we used to? Remember when we stayed up late just talking? And I always had a practical reason to decline. Too exhausted. Too busy. Too costly. Too inconvenient. I never meant to wound her. I simply assumed we had time. I believed the small moments weren't essential. I thought being responsible was enough. Providing. Staying faithful. Fixing what broke. Showing up during emergencies. I believed those were the pillars of love. They matter. But they are not enough. What I didn't understand is that love isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in ordinary minutes. The quiet talks over coffee. The aimless walks. The way you pause your phone and truly listen when they speak about something that mattered to them. I stopped doing those things, but not overnight. It faded slowly. So slowly I barely noticed. One skipped conversation turned into dozens. One, maybe tomorrow, became years. Eventually, she stopped asking. She stopped suggesting classes or trips. She stopped reaching for those deeper conversations. She created her own world instead. Friends, hobbies, small joys that didn't require me. We became polite companions sharing space. Courteous. Functional. Emotionally distant. I convinced myself this was normal. That long marriages naturally settle into routine. That passion softens into habit. But what I called stability was actually complacency. Then she got sick. Suddenly, someday, had an expiration date. Suddenly, time wasn't endless. In those final months, we spoke with a raw honesty we hadn't shared in 2 decades. She told me about dreams she'd quietly buried. About moments she felt unseen. About feeling alone while lying right beside me. The evening, about 3 weeks before she passed, she told me about a place she had always longed to visit, Ireland. Her grandfather was born there, and she dreamed of standing on those green cliffs, tracing her roots, breathing in that history. She had mentioned it over the years. Many times. And each time I postponed it. Maybe next year. Not the right season. We'll go after retirement. We never went. When she spoke about it near the end, she wasn't angry. That was the hardest part. She was simply tired. As if she had accepted long ago that I wasn't going to meet her in that dream. I asked why she hadn't insisted. Why she didn't push harder. She said, "I didn't want you to take me because you felt obligated. I wanted you to want it with me." That sentence shattered something inside me. She didn't want compliance. She wanted enthusiasm. She wanted shared joy. She wanted to feel that what mattered to her mattered to me. And I hadn't given her that. Here's what I've come to understand, and please don't miss this. The greatest danger to a relationship isn't betrayal or explosive arguments. It's indifference. It's the quiet assumption that they'll always be there. It's stopping the effort. It's no longer being curious about the person you once couldn't get enough of. You stop asking meaningful questions because you think you already know everything. You stop prioritizing time together because life feels busy. You assume tomorrow is guaranteed. And one day, you realize you've been living beside a stranger. Or worse, you realize they're gone, and you never truly knew them at all. After Margaret passed, I found a journal in her drawer. She had been writing in it for years. Reading it felt like discovering a hidden life. She wrote about loneliness, about trying to reach me and feeling unheard, about moments that seemed small to me but felt enormous to her, times I chose work over dinner with her, times I scrolled through my phone while she spoke. She also wrote about love, about the man she married, about hoping he would return, about not knowing how to bridge the distance growing between us. I was physically there every night, but emotionally, I might as well have been galaxies away. And the worst part? I wasn't cruel. I wasn't unfaithful. I wasn't intentionally harmful. I was complacent. I mistook the absence of wrongdoing for the presence of love. But relationships don't collapse overnight. They erode quietly, through neglect so small it barely registers. If you're with someone right now, I want you to pause and ask yourself, when was the last time you had a real conversation, not about schedules or bills, but about fears, hopes, or dreams? When did you last do something purely to see them smile? Not for a holiday. Not for obligation. Just because you wanted to. When did you last truly look at them and feel gratitude that they chose you? If you can't remember, you are drifting the way I did. Your partner will not be here forever. That's not pessimism. That's reality. One of you will say goodbye first. And when that day comes, there are no rewinds. No postponed trips. No conversations you can retrieve. No unsaid words you can finally deliver. Margaret and I had 41 years. And I lost too many of them choosing comfort over closeness. Pride over presence. Being right over being connected. If you still have time, use it. Choose presence over passive existence. Don't repeat the mistake I made. Love isn't a feeling you experience once and then place on a shelf. It isn't self-sustaining. Love is action. Daily action. In quiet gestures and bold ones alike. It's deciding to stay interested in your partner, even after 40 years of shared mornings. It's saying yes to new experiences together, even when they feel awkward or inconvenient. It's sitting down for uncomfortable conversations instead of sweeping tension under the rug. It's caring about what lights them up, not out of duty, but because their joy matters to you. After Margaret passed, people told me I had been a good husband. They were trying to comfort me. But they were mistaken. I wasn't a good husband. I was a sufficient one. I cleared the lowest hurdle. I didn't betray her. I didn't mistreat her. I didn't leave. But that standard is painfully low. Being a loving partner means nurturing closeness on purpose. It means choosing openness even when it's uncomfortable. It means staying curious, making the effort, protecting the connection when work exhausts you and stress clouds your mind. I didn't protect it, and now I carry the weight of knowing I was entrusted with something rare and beautiful, and I allowed it to fade through simple neglect. 6 years later, I still think about Ireland, about how easy it would have been to say yes. A handful of days, a portion of savings. That's all it required, and it would have meant the world to her. I think about the art workshops she mentioned, the dance classes, the late-night talks she tried to begin, all the small bridges she attempted to build between us, and all the times I answered with, "Not today," or "Maybe later." Later never arrived. It rarely does. If you love someone, if you're sharing your life with another human being, don't wait for ideal circumstances to prove they matter. Don't assume they already know. Don't treat their presence as permanent. Ask about their dreams. Listen when they tell stories, even if you've heard pieces before. Agree to the things they suggest, even if they don't excite you immediately, because strengthening your bond should excite you. Be attentive. Be interested. Be deliberate. Because someday, you may find yourself where I am now. Sitting alone with faded photographs. Turning fragile journal pages. Realizing you once held everything that mattered, and didn't value it until it slipped through your hands. I'm not sharing this to burden you with guilt. I'm sharing it because you still have opportunity. Your partner, if you have one, is still within reach. You can still talk deeply. You can still book the trip. You can still create moments worth remembering. But you must choose it now. On my desk sits a photo from our honeymoon, summer of 1972. She's laughing in that picture, sunlight in her eyes, wind tangling her hair. She looks fearless, hopeful, alive with possibility. And I think about the woman she became, still gentle, still loving, but carrying a quiet disappointment I helped create through years of unintentional distance. She was right. We sacrificed too much time trying to prove points instead of protecting closeness. Don't spend your years the way I spent mine. Love actively. Love on purpose. Love while there is still time. This space exists for people like me to pass along hard-earned lessons. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss future stories. And if something here spoke to you, leave a comment. Press the like button. If you carry a story of your own, something learned through joy or regret, there's a form below. Share it. Perhaps next time, it will be your voice helping someone else hold on to what truly matters.